She and committee chairman Trey Gowdy got into a heated discussion at one point and several times again. Here's one instance.
You know, Mr. Chairman, if you don't have any friends who say unkind things privately, I congratulate you. But from my perspective,
I'd like to think I'd correct them.
I don't know what this line of questioning does to help us get to the bottom of the deaths for Americans.
I'll be happy to help you understand that, Madam Secretary.
Joining us now in a Fox Business exclusive is former Whitewater independent counsel Robert Ray. Robert, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Go through Hillary's performance yesterday. What did we learn, and what's your takeaway?
Well, I think the takeaway politically was that she may well have been the architect of the false narrative about blaming this whole incident and an attack on the compound as being the result of a film, as it was referred to in the email. But her private email indicates that at the time this was happening, she realized and knew that this was an attack by terrorists. And we only know that as a result of the fact that the committee now has access to her, not all of her, but some of her private email.
And that's why the private emails were so important. We now know the way she spoke about the incident to her daughter on the email.
Yes, same day.
Yeah, same day. Meanwhile, President Obama, Hillary Clinton, all of the underlings there in the State Department were all talking about one person creating this video. And by the way, it was September 11th.
Yes, and it was in a political season, a presidential election year. And I think everybody suspected that this was probably the case. Now we know and are able to prove it.
Do you think this is going to impact her campaign?
Well, that's up to the American people, obviously, to decide whether or not this makes a difference. I suspect that in one sense, it is the hope of those who support Senator Clinton that the public has a relatively short memory. But this is yet again another example over a lifetime of a political public servant who has a track record in which she doesn't tell the truth. This is an example of that. So people have to make up their minds how much of a difference that makes.
And Secretary Clinton actually took it further in terms of pushing that narrative and blaming that video made. She, at one point, did she not tell the father of one of the victims that the creator of that video would be prosecuted? So she was, according to the Wall Street Journal, spinning the false tale there as well. So the Democrats have said about these hearings, about this investigation into these killings in Benghazi, that this is purely political. Well, the creation of that false narrative about the video was also purely political, but related to the deaths of these 4 Americans. Because, remember, it was an election year. President Obama was running for re-election, and one of their central narratives was Al-Qaeda is on the run and has been nearly eradicated. And this terror attack would have completely wiped that out.
And the Republicans on the committee had a vested interest, I think, in showing that her vested interest was political in the sense that she was the architect of the policy that led to taking out Gaddafi and regime change. And, of course, to protect that narrative meant, essentially showing the American people that there was stability in Libya when, in fact, she knew better.
But was this enough yesterday to have people connect the dots? I mean, I'm just wondering if the average person out there understands the narrative that we're talking about this morning, that this is just more indication of lies.
Well, look, if what they're expecting in every situation is a smoking gun where you're hit over the head with a sledgehammer revelation that, oh man, this is the gotcha moment, I suppose that, no one will ever be convinced. But that's not really what went on here. I mean, this is an example where now you understand the benefit of having access to emails where you have, in fact, all the information. I suppose it's not a news flash that what people say privately may differ from what they actually say publicly, but this is on a matter, frankly, that is of substantial public importance. It relates to a political figure in a position, an appointee of the president with the advice and consent of the Senate, who's the top foreign relations official in the United States government, putting out a false narrative that she knows is false. Right. That's not a little deal.
You are a former federal prosecutor, obviously a prominent litigator. Tell us where this investigation goes next. Do you think that the next testimonies, who do you want to hear from? what are the open holes here that we need to hear in this investigation?
Well, look, there's the sideshow to this, which is a significant unknown development, is the state of the FBI's investigation, which relates really to a separate question, and that is the maintenance of the private email server and whether or not there was any knowing criminal conduct by Secretary Clinton with regard to confidential and/or secret information that was contained on that server. We don't know where that's going to go. Obviously, that's not going to be in public view. We won't know the results of that investigation for some time. I think at the moment, though, we reflect on the fact that it does show that the Republicans on the committee are capable of asking the right questions. They ask the right questions. If you look at the questioning by Congressman Jim Jordan on the committee yesterday and yesterday evening, it demonstrated the fact that they knew how to get to the heart of the matter. That's the heart of the matter. Right. And it wasn't about emails. Emails are the vehicle through which you're able to prove that there was something here that the public is entitled to know. They're entitled to know whether the Secretary of State is capable of telling the truth.
Right. The Secretary of State who's running for the highest office in the land.
There you go.
Bingo. Robert.
And people should care about that.
Right. Good to see you, Robert. Thanks very much for
Thanks
your
very
insights.
much.
We appreciate it. Robert Ray joining us there. And Fox